Evening, peeps. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. How's everyone doing? Hopefully, you're all doing very, very well. If you're not doing very, very well, just drop your boy an email with your number, and I'll give you a call, and hopefully, I can cheer you up a little bit. All right, let's get into this video because we have a lot to talk about, man. I don't know why I just did an American accent now. I have no idea why I did that. We've got a lot to talk about. It has been a crazy weekend of boxing. Before we talk, don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well to like and share the vids. Wow. You know what, yeah? I can't think of a time, and look, my boxing knowledge when it comes to British boxing goes back to the 90s, right? It's that Ben Eubank era. So it's not vast, right? I'm not a Spencer Fearon or a Colin Hart that can tell you about shit from the 40s and the 50s. So my knowledge goes back 25 years. And I can't remember a time in that 25 years where there has been two massive upsets in the same night in a British boxing ring. I can't tell you. I can't remember. Honestly, I can't. Especially not two world title fights. So yes, there might have been massive upsets at domestic level, right? I mean, area titles. No disrespect, not putting area titles down, but you know, that kind of level. World title level? Can't ever remember it. I can't ever remember it. And this is why, and I get why it's difficult to do what I'm going to ask you to do, but this is why I guess we maybe have to do it in the future. I think we have to judge a fight card after the event. And what I mean by that is when obviously Eddie put out this card, 6 weeks ago, I mean, we, including myself a little bit, were like, oh, you know, it's not good enough, it's this, it's that, or these are gimme fights, and this is rubbish, and there's one guy all the time, I don't know who it is, I can't remember his name, but he always puts the odds of the fights, and he's like, oh, look at it, it's 1 to 25, like you could put £5 on all the favourites, you only win about £8. He always does that, and boxing don't work like that. It never has worked like that. If it did work like that, I mean, I'm sure that guy would be very, very rich. It doesn't work like that because boxing always produces an upset. It's happened a lot, especially in the last year and a half. We've had a lot of upsets. I was speaking to Sandor Martin's manager. He was there. He manages a lot of the Spanish fighters. And he was talking about Sandor Martin and Mikey Garcia. And he was like, when that fight was made, like, it was ridiculed. And in the end, I mean, Sandor Martin won it quite convincingly. But back to yesterday's event, again, I don't remember a time in the British boxing ring where there's been two major upsets. And again, it does, I've said it's difficult to do so, but fight cards should be judged after the event. Because there's been fight cards where they've been stacked and they've been duds. Like, it's been crap. But we're all excited because, oh, it's name versus name and it's name versus name. Sometimes you just have to watch a fight card. There were some fights, even on the undercard, that I thought were really good fights. Let me quickly bring it up. I should remember all these names, but apologies, I can't. There was a couple of fights that I was like, this is entertaining, like really entertaining. And again, I didn't know too much about the guys before, and I'm guessing most people wouldn't have because it was an area title, but it was an entertaining area title fight. Who was it? It was James Flint versus Dom Hunt. And by the way, James Flint was favourite to win that fight. Just, not a big favourite, but favourite to win that fight. Dom Hunt won that fight by quite a few rounds for me. Chris Billiam-Smith versus Dillian Brejon. Billiam-Smith favourite to win, but favourite to get a knockout. It went all the way. Dante Dixon versus Jordan McCorry. Dante Dixon, by the way, looked really good, didn't he? For a guy that's only had 5 fights, looked really good. He's managed and looked after by Billy Joe Saunders. So we'll see how far and which way he goes. But I liked his style. Jordan McCorry, by the way, is tough as old boots. Tough as old boots. And I don't use that phrase loosely. I mean, he was doing all sorts of tricks in the ring. I mean, there were elbows, low blows. He was doing all the things you need to survive, doing them all. And he landed some big shots, but Dante Dixon, just the fresher of the two. But let's not waste any more time. Let's talk about the two main events. Let's talk about Terry Harper against Alycia Baumgardner. Now, I tweeted, it's out there, check it. My tweets I don't delete tweets. I tweeted and said, this is going to be a competitive fight. Sometimes when you just watch a fighter, you just get this feeling for them, right? That there's this energy they have. And Alycia has had so much energy. And I don't know if you guys saw, but Tony Harrison, 154 or former 154-pound champion, was in her corner. And he was speaking before the fight in interviews like 3-4 weeks ago about, we're coming to take the belt. And they all just seemed super confident, like they knew something that we didn't know. And by the way, Alycia has been begging Eddie for this fight, like begging, like been in the DMs, like been messaging, like, Eddie, give me this opportunity, give me this opportunity. They've obviously watched a lot of Terry Harper fights and thought, you know what, we've got something. So I, in knowing all that, said, look, this is going to be a competitive fight. Did I still think Terry Harper would get the win? Yes, I did think Terry Harper would get the win. But I was waiting for the very first 30 seconds of that fight. So I was there, ringside, glued. I am less than 5 feet away from the action. I'm just behind Mike Costello, Darren Barker, and me and Chris Lloyd are sitting next to each other. Yeah, we're sitting next to each other. I'm that close to the ring. And the reason I was waiting for the first 30 seconds was this. I was waiting to see if she was going to be a Jamie Mitchell who beat Shannon Courtney, or was she going to be a Mary McGee who fought Chantel Cameron. Mary McGee, for as tough as she is, boxing ability-wise, just wasn't there for me. Wasn't there. Tough, don't get me wrong, but wasn't there. Jamie Mitchell, good boxing ability. And I think we saw that from the very first 30 seconds with Jamie Mitchell when she threw out a couple of sharp jabs. So I was waiting to see what Alycia had. Immediately, I was like, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. And it's funny because the whole card was running really late. So the guy that I'm with that takes me around the ring to do all the interviews, he's panicking because he's thinking we need to be off air by 11 o'clock. So he's asking me, this is no joke, he's asking me, when's Terry going to win? Like, is it going to go the distance or will Terry get the stoppage? I'm like, I don't think Terry's winning. And he's like, and I'm like, no. This girl can fight. I knew she could already punch because her record says she can punch. She got 6 KOs out of 10 fights, now 7 out of 11. That's very decent for female boxing. Because that's one thing we complain about, that the females don't crack. For her to have 6 out of 10, she can hit. Regardless of the level, if she's hitting you, you're in trouble. So I knew she could hit. I was just waiting to see if she could box. And again, I saw it in the first 20 seconds and I knew there was a problem. She hit Terry. Go and watch the fight back. I don't know if you guys heard it at home, but again, ringside, you're picking up things. She hit Terry with a punch in the first 30 seconds. It landed, it wasn't clean. And she said, yeah, bitch. That's what she said. She said, yeah, bitch, what? And I was like, yo, this girl is not coming to fuck about. Ain't coming to play. This girl is coming for war. She's strong, physically strong. She used to wrestle, so she's got that kind of strong base. Legs were really thick. And I was like, Terry in trouble in this fight. And then when she got hurt in the second round where she kind of fell to the floor, it wasn't classed as a knockdown, but she fell to the floor, she was hurt. She was hurt, and I was like, I don't know what Terry can do here with this girl. This girl was faster, sharper, in and out with her movement, hands low, very arrogant, very confident. And then when she cracked her, wow. I don't think Savannah Marshall can crack a lot. Savannah Marshall can hit. Delphine Pursoon and Katie Taylor to an extent can hit. They haven't got that one punch sort of KO power. I can't think of a fighter. Again, female boxing is very much sort of, I feel like it's being reborn. If you think of the 90s fighters to what we've got now, it's almost like you put a full stop in it and start again. Since the start again bit, and the reason I do that because Ann Wolfe could hit, but since the start of it again, and I'm going to use Katie Taylor as a starting point, I don't think I've seen a girl hit as hard as that. Sorry, I went round in circles there, didn't I, a bit? I don't think I've seen a girl crack as hard as she did. When she hit Terry the first time, Terry's legs buckled. And I was like, shit, because Terry can hit a bit. When she hit her again, I don't think I've seen that in a female, like from a female, since the rebirth of female boxing. I don't think so. She's got everything to be a massive problem at 130 pounds. You know, I'm going to say it, even, this is maybe going too far. She's got everything to be a big problem at 135 pounds. 135 pounds is Katie Taylor's division. I wouldn't mind it now. Honestly, I wouldn't mind it. We saw Tasha Jonas have that fight with Terry Harper. She went up and she fought Katie Taylor, gave her a good fight. This girl is fast with her hands, very confident. You need all this stuff, by the way. The confidence, the arrogance, you need that. She was coming into hostile territory and she didn't give a shit. I don't know. Again, hopefully from at home you can hear the boos ringing out. As she walked out, the boos were deafening. And I was like, shit, I didn't realize Terry Harper had all these fans. I thought the fans were for Kid Galahad. They weren't, they're for Terry Harper. And she, like literally, David Diamante's saying her name and it's booing and she's just smiling in the corner. Like literally like, okay, we'll see. She has got confidence. When I done that ringside interview with her, she was like, yeah, I am the best 130 pound, who else type thing. Obviously there's Michaela Maya, there is Choi. Nah, they're not living with that. Too fast, too strong, too a bit of everything, too fresh. Her only loss is to Lina Dartu. You guys might remember Lina Dartu, who caused Katie Taylor a couple of issues. And Lina Dartu's just too big. Lina Dartu now thinks that she's had a baby. I think she's come back at 147. Or even before the baby, she was fine at 140. She fought Katie Taylor at 140. She just got oversized in that fight. And even that was a split decision. At 130 or 135, she is a real problem. And we are seeing, and I'm jumping a bit here, by the way, but we are seeing Katie Taylor on decline a little bit. Like, Katie's not going to be as good as Katie was 2 years ago. It's just not going to happen, unfortunately. Age, wear and tear on the body. This girl's fresh. Very, very fresh. And there is a rematch clause. There ain't going to be a rematch. Like, you just don't need to. I mean, it was really heartbreaking a bit because we all got the same, like, we're all waiting for the same shuttle buses after the show to go back to the hotel. And Steffi Ball's there, Terry Harper's there as well, obviously clearly distraught. And that's the side you don't like to see. But yeah, look, look, Terry's young. She's only 25. She's had a year out. I mean, Eddie was saying after that to me and Darren Barker that look, he's surprised they took the fight. He's surprised they took the fight because he knew she was dangerous. And this is the thing, female boxing, it's kind of new in it. So we don't know who these females are. Like male boxing, we know, like someone could even have 12 losses. We're like, oh, he's dangerous though. Like Rosado, and we'll get onto Rosado in a minute. You know, even with the losses, you're like, no, Rosado dangerous. Chisora dangerous. With female fighters, you're just not quite sure who they are yet. Like, I didn't know anything about Jamie Mitchell. I didn't know anything about Baumgardner. I do now. There seems to be this American-British war going on right now, and the Americans are winning it. We're going to have, fingers crossed, Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields. We could have Chantel Cameron versus Cal Reese. Again, that American-British war's going on, and it's fun. It's fun right now. But I would love to see Baumgardner maybe have one more, a unification against Michaela Maya. It's a fight she was supposed to have anyway, and then try and get Katie Taylor. She'll come over here again. She won't give a shit. She'll come over here again and think she can beat Katie Taylor, and I would not put it past her. All right, let's talk about Kid Galahad, Kiko Martinez. Fuck me, where do we start? Where do we start, people? I don't know where to start. Again, your boy tweeted it. And I got ridiculed. Check the tweets. I'm not lying, check the tweets. I tweeted it. I said, Kiko looks in good shape. Kid Galahad, we know, struggles at the weight. This might be competitive. Or I think this will be good for a few rounds. That's what I said. And obviously people are like, you're only saying that because you work for DAZN and company man. I mean, hey, I don't want to say I told you so because I didn't tell you so. I didn't say that he would win, but I told you it would be competitive. And I can't lie to you, after the first 45 seconds, I was going to eat humble pie because Kid Galahad got Kiko into a neutral corner and started landing a couple of shots. And I was like, oh, here we go. This is going to end early. It's going to end. And I was already thinking of my interview for Kid Galahad. So it's weird. You're watching the fights, but I'm trying to prep for my ringside interview. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to ask him about Navarrete. I'm going to ask him about Lee Wood, who's in the studio. I'm going to ask him about Josh Warrington. I thought this is going to be the greatest ringside interview because I've got so much stored up. I was going to ask him about him, you know, who does he pass the baton to in the Winklebank gym? I had so many questions stored up, and then bang. And I was like, what in the... And he got up, to be fair, he got up quick. So I was like, you know what, credit Kiko. I was like, oh, Kiko, you know, he's made this competitive, just as I said. And I felt like almost justified for what I said. I was like, oh, but I thought, I think he's still going to win. Kid Galahad's going to win. He's going to come out. He's going to be on the end of a jab. He's going to just stick the jab out for a couple of rounds and he'll get his legs underneath him and he'll be okay. And then bang. And that was it. That was all she wrote. That was all she wrote. That's the biggest upset in a British boxing ring since Amir Khan, Bradis Prescott. I was not there. I remember being in a nightclub when Amir Khan got smoked. And I remember it just reverberating around the nightclub. I was in a club called Faces in Gants Hill. Some of you might know it. And I remember it just going round, Amir Khan's lost. And the whispers. And I was like, what? And I was into my boxing then. But I wasn't. I'd rather go raving than stay at home and watch boxing, put it that way, back then. This felt like that. Like you could hear a pin drop. You could hear a pin drop. No, that's a lie. You could hear a pin drop when Terry Harper lost. This one, they weren't over the Terry Harper defeat. This one, people were having fucking heart attacks in the stand. This was like, what? This was crazy. Because Kiko, I mean, to all intents and purposes, is past it. He's 35. Every time he steps up, he loses. Yes, he's a former super bantamweight champion, but this is the featherweight division. He's game, he's tough, but every time he steps up, check the record books, he loses. Leo Santa Cruz, Gary Russell Jr., Zelfa Barrett, although I didn't think he lost that fight. Carl Frampton, Scott Quigg. Every time he steps up, he loses. This was supposed to be a formality. This was supposed to be a homecoming. That's all it was supposed to be. And then he was supposed to grab the mic and call out Warrington, call out Leo Santa Cruz, call out Gary Russell Jr. They were talking about an American fight. It was done. I wouldn't be shocked if Eddie hadn't already inked a contract with someone in America for Kid to go over there and do that dream. And all of a sudden, Kiko was like, not today. You can have the dream. It's going to come. Not today. And it's a long way back. It's a long way back. Now, look, there's a rematch clause, obviously, right? There's going to be a rematch clause in there. And there's a good chance Kid could win that rematch. But there's also a good chance he moves up a division and just forgoes the belt. Honestly, there really is. I've got a feeling that Eddie, who's now got a contract with Kiko Martinez, just puts Kiko versus Mauricio Lara, see where I'm going, on one of his Spanish shows. It'll headline it, it'll do really good numbers as well. Because Kiko, no doubt now, is one of the best Spanish fighters of all time. He's a 2-weight world champion. He's a legit 2-weight world champion as well. Not one of those guys that beat someone that nobody knew. He came to Sheffield and knocked out Kid Galahad. Bear in mind, Kid Galahad's record is pretty much perfect. The only blemish on it is Josh Warrington, and that was a split decision. It's a fight that if you score it properly again, you might give it to Kid. So he really is an unbeaten fighter coming off a fantastic win against Jazza Dickens. He just got smoked, knocked out, bang, just like that. No referee controversial shit, no long count, no, smoked, iced. Like, they could have counted for 2 minutes, he weren't getting up. They brought in oxygen. That's how big that knockout was. Again, 2 massive upsets in the same night. World title fights. Never happened before. Never happened before. If it has, I don't know when. But what a night of boxing. And again, let's judge. And I'm not saying this because I work for the Zona or anything. Please, I'm not. I'm not that kind of company guy. I'll tell you that, I'm not. But let's judge fight cards after the event. Because again, I was ringside and I thoroughly enjoyed some of those fights. I really did. I thoroughly enjoyed Dante Dixon versus Jordan McCory. Loved it. I liked James Flint versus Don Hunt for what it was, an area title fight. Chris Billiams-Smith versus Brejon was probably one of the ones where, this is getting a bit long-winded. But hey, you know what? It's a European title fight and Brejon was tough as fucking old boots. You know the phrase. And then the 2 big upsets. That's not a bad card. And then we got to see some young kids coming through, some new female fighters as well that we might have to keep an eye on, especially that Raven Chapman. So look, loads to talk about. Great card in the end. And it was a good one. What's the time? By the way, I'm filming this. I might have said this before, but I'm filming this just before the live. You're obviously going to see this tomorrow, but I'm filming this at 7 o'clock now. The live starts in about an hour. Should be a fun one. So I'm probably going to repeat everything I say on the live, as I've just said just now. I only saw highlights of Gabe Rosado versus Munguia. Credit to Gabe anyway. In the highlights, it looked like they were going toe-to-toe. Don't get me wrong. People were talking about it being fight of the year. But it does look like in the highlights that although they're going toe-to-toe, Munguia just looks the bigger and the fresher and the younger, which all those things are true. He is younger, he is fresher, he's bigger, and his output is ridiculous. And that's a good win for Munguia. But Gabe's still there. Gabe's still got a bit to offer. You know, Gabe is the horriblest, is that a word? Gatekeeper at middleweight. Like, that's a frightening gatekeeper to come through. You don't want that. He did take a lot of punishment in the highlights. I'm sure he probably did take a lot of punishment. Like, there was loads of shots being et from either man. But good luck in there. And Benavidez got the stoppage, didn't he? He got the, was it 7th round stoppage over Kyron Davis. Obviously, Kyron Davis, a kind of a late-ish replacement. But regardless, he got the stoppage. And now, obviously, he wants Canelo. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Right, let's see if there's any stories. It's going to be dominated, isn't it, by Kid Galahad. But let's quickly see if there's anything to talk about before we get this live set up. What's this? Benavidez. Jamal Charlo doesn't want to get in the ring with me because he is a PUSSY. I don't think he's that. But I think with these guys now, yeah, it gets to the stage where someone just goes to them and says, this is the number you can make. That's all it, I genuinely believe that with a lot of the top guys. Like, there's nothing, I'm sorry, as much as I think Andrade probably would beat Jamal Charlo, or is it Andrade, whatever it is. As much as I think he will, I just think he looks at the number. Someone says, like, this is it. This is the number you can make. And that number just doesn't look good. And he's like, no, I don't fancy it. It's not like if there was 50 million to fight Andrade, you think he's not going to fight him? It's all about the numbers for these, all about the money. It's not even about the belts. Once they get past 25, 30 fights and have had a couple of defenses, it's about what's the check, please. And if that check ain't good and it ain't worth the risk, then what's the point? And I think that's the way Charlo maybe views Benavidez. That's, yeah, it's a tough fight. What's the check? The check's what? Okay, so I can fight a guy 4 or 5 times less, riskier, and get a similar check? Yeah, give me that guy. That's all it is. I'm not having that Charlo is scared of Benavidez or Andrade. I'm not having it. Usyk-Joshua rematch should take place by early April at the latest, says Eddie Hearn, at the latest. Remember, there's a ruling on Tyson Fury, Dillian White on Tuesday, I was going to say tomorrow because this is going to come out on Monday. Let's see how that one plays out. But yeah, it should mean that we're going to get big fights. Look, to be fair, we've had a good year. We've had a good year for boxing, and it looks like the year's going to continue. And we've still got so much to come. Teofimo Lopez Cambosos is a good one. Lomachenko, Comey. It's a shame we don't have the Gervonta Davis fight that we wanted to see, but look, understandably so. What else have we got coming up? Crawford. Oh my God, Crawford Porter's this week. Live watch along. Is it this week? It is this week. Look at that. I mean, we got a good one. We got a good end to the year. Anything else before we go? What's this? I didn't see there's a pay-to fight. I've not even seen Shakan Peters and that fight against Cartwright. I haven't seen that. Loads to catch up on. Loads to catch up on. All right, no, that's kind of it. I saw this one, actually. Let me quickly see who this girl is. Katie Taylor is fighting Firuza Sharapova. Who is that? Is that a mandatory or is that a voluntary defense? Katie Taylor's got so many belts. It could be a mandatory. I'd be shocked if it isn't a mandatory, but let's have a look. Who is this? Firuza Sharapova is 14-1. 8 knockouts. Again, see, don't sleep on this. She hasn't fought anyone of note, really. She's fringe world titles, IBA world title, which is nothing, really. She's come up from Super Feather. Who's the person that beat her? She lost in her debut in 2016. Since then, she's won every single fight, but mainly in Russia. And what flag's that? I don't even know what flag that is. Kazakhstan. So she's not fought out of that region. She had a fight in Russia, yeah, and where she fought is called the Floyd Mayweather Boxing Academy. Floyd's got fucking academies in Russia. Go on, Floyd. All right, we'll see. We'll see what she can do. Have they announced Jordan Gill's opponent yet? Let's have a quick look before we go. Jordan Gill, no, still TBA. Oh, no. They have. So Jordan Gill is fighting Kareem Guefi. Is that the European champion? It is. It's a European title fight. Ooh, this is a tough fight. No, we'll see what he does. I mean, Lee McGregor stopped this kid. Is it the same kid? It is the same kid. Let's see. I think that's a tough fight for Jordan Gill. What of Joe Cordina? Anything on him yet? No, Joe Cordina. Okay, so we've got Jordan Gill in a European title fight. Conor Ben Algieri. Katie Taylor defending all her marbles. Got Joe Cordina on the fight as well. There needs to be one more. I think we need one more on it. Guys, peace and love.